Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of The Garden Voyeur. And my name is Brian, and this is my attempt at documenting my garden for the first year. This is the first time that we've actually kind of gotten serious as far as trying to do things right. What I want to do is document the first year of setting up our home garden. We've done vegetable gardening before. It's never turned out very well for us for a few different reasons, and it always happens to where we get really excited to get something started. We'll come out for a couple days, hot, sweating, dig a bunch of things up, plant a bunch of things, and the first few weeks you'll start getting the sprouts. Everything's going great, and then by midsummer everything looks terrible and you've given up. So this year was the first time that we kind of got a little more addicted to this whole concept of raised bed gardening. And we've watched a lot of YouTube videos kind of showing what other people are doing to help their gardening out. And we've learned a lot of the mistakes that we've made. We're still making a lot of those same mistakes. But we found this route that we're going now is actually kind of fun. And we've got the kids involved in planting and harvesting, taking care of all the vegetables, watering, looking out for all those pests, the caterpillars and everything else that we get in here. But we just thought that it would be great to kind of just document for us, and maybe even for some of you who are amateur gardeners, just kind of getting started and wanting to know kind of what we're doing, or specifically what we're doing wrong. You guys can kind of learn from that. So just want to say, I mean, I'm by no means at all even close to being an expert on what I'm doing. Again, this is one of those things to where we kind of thought one weekend after watching some videos, hey, let's try to do that. That's awesome. Let's do it. And another thing is, what better way to feel better about your own garden than to see what's going on and going wrong with my garden? I know that sounds kind of bad, but it's, you know, it's nice to know that you're not the only person having problems with why aren't my seeds sprouting? Why are certain bugs just eating everything as fast as it can grow? It's very frustrating sometimes, but it's also very rewarding sometimes. So for today's video, I just want to have a starting place. So I'm going to kind of show you what we've got going on here in our garden. And again, we're in the middle of the country. We're in St. Louis, Missouri. It's the middle of summer. It's actually the end of August. And I'm just going to kind of document a starting point with this first video, kind of show you what we have set up so far, and then in videos to come I'll talk about where some of our plans are as far as expanding our garden out into our yard a little bit more. I plan on building a few more of these raised garden beds. We'll talk a little bit about that later on as well, as far as what I did to build those and what I would do different the next time around. So let's take a look real quick. So this, what we have right now, we've got two raised garden beds, and this is the first time that we've actually done something like this ever. The area that you guys see here was where our existing garden was, and the problem with that is when you're planting into the ground, there's a lot more maintenance involved. And as far as weeding, keeping the bugs out. Middle of the summer, you've got a lot of snakes and stuff. It's just harder to maintain your garden. So after watching a lot of videos on YouTube, it just seemed like the way to go would be the raised bed gardens. And we wanted to do something kind of nice because we're kind of up against the house. So we wanted to keep it looking pretty decent. So we built these first two raised garden beds, and they've been great. It's really allowed us to really maintain the garden. We don't have any weed problems. If we do see something kind of sprouting up that's not supposed to be in here, we just pull it up. I'm out here on a daily basis. So, you know, anything that's not supposed to be in here, I go ahead and get that out as I go. Really the biggest problem we have is pests. We have a lot of the loopers. I think it's the white moth that lays its eggs. The eggs hatch, and you've got these little caterpillars that will hide underneath the leaves of a lot of the lettuces, the kale that we have over here, and they chew everything up. And I'm out here almost every morning after I get the kids on the bus. I'll come back here and spend probably a good 20-30 minutes just kind of fixing things up, and I'll check the undersides of all of the lettuce and the kale, and I'll probably pull a half dozen caterpillars off. But that's pretty much our biggest problem. We do have a lot of deer and stuff in the area here, but they don't really come up here this close to the house, at least not yet, so we haven't had problems with that. But for the most part, I highly recommend doing the raised bed gardens. It's so much easier. If you build it and design it to where you have something to sit on the side, you can easily reach into the middle on both of them, and it's just the way to go. You can control the soil. There's just a lot more things that are in your control to help the vegetables grow. So I would really recommend going ahead and building raised bed gardens, whether or not it's with wood, or you can use pretty much anything that can hold soil. So we'll talk more about these in a future episode. Okay, what we've got here is our brand new compost bin. It was something that we've always wanted to kind of try, but we never knew really how to get started. And with most of this gardening this year, we just said, let's just go out and do it, and we'll learn as we go. We'll fix the mistakes as we go. And I don't know, sometimes I think that if you wait around to try to get all the answers before you get started, you'll never get started. Or at least that's the way I am. So a little bit about this, and again, I'll get into this more in detail and how we secured getting the pallets and all this other stuff. But for the most part, it's a 3-pallet system, 3-bin system, and any kind of yard waste, leaves, stuff from the kitchen, the eggshells, we'll even throw in paper towels, anything from the garden, anything that'll break down and decompose, we're throwing it into the compost bin. It's been going great so far. I think we've had this up for a couple months now. And in addition to the stuff that we produce here at the house, I'm also dropping off buckets at Starbucks. They've got a great program. They have a great program that they're used coffee grounds. They'll save it for you, and you just go in every couple weeks or something, pick up your bucket. I've got 2 5-gallon buckets that I use, and I just rotate those out every time I go in. So we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll get into that a little bit later. But this has been a great thing so far. Hopefully, we'll get some really nice compost out of it, put in the garden for next spring. Yeah, this is usually what our gardens look like mid-August. So there's not a lot to look at right now, but I will say that we've gotten, before we had some problems. We had this is our spaghetti squash plant. Here's what's left of our zucchini, and then we've got our eggplant over there, and a few different things that we did over here, which we'll talk about again in another detailed episode. But this is the side garden of our house, and we've always kind of planted zucchini or different kind of squashes on this side. In the afternoon, this gets full sun up until 7, 8 o'clock at night. This year, it's kind of struggled, but I will say you can kind of see the spaghetti squash that we got from it. I think we had 5, And these are the two biggest ones, which were the two of the last ones that we picked off the vine. But and they've been great. I mean, we've had these for dinner. They're really, really good. We planted them, I believe, in May. April, May. Yeah, May. Yeah, it was May. And this actually was the first one to really take off. This was a beautiful plant. And I was trying the Texas tomato cage holders, and I was trying to train it to go up so it wasn't taking up all this space. And it was up here, and it was coming over this way. And then all of a sudden it started to die off. And I'm not quite sure if that was just the life cycle of it, because I think spaghetti squash, you'll only get like 4 or 5 maybe of these. I don't know, maybe you guys can kind of tell me if you're familiar with it, because this is the first time we've grown these. But this died off pretty good. Zucchini I think we picked 3 maybe about a month ago. Very nice sized zucchinis, and then it just died on me. And our eggplant, the leaves look okay. I mean, we've got some holes in it from bugs. I've got one eggplant we've been nursing for the last month, and that's the only thing that we've had that's started on there. I've got a few blooms, so I'm just not sure why it's not fruiting as much. But again, this is, we've planted here before, but not in a raised garden bed fashion. And the mosquitoes are killing me. That's another thing that I don't know if you can get away from other than spraying bug spray, is when you come out here, because we're kind of by the tree line and we've got a creek that runs back here, get a lot of mosquitoes. So, but we built this up a little bit as a raised bed, and we've got some soil in there, and I've got a weed fabric down to help with the weeds, and that's kind of helped a little bit. Behind the bed, we've got some weeds and grasses that are kind of growing, so I need to get back there and get those down. But these started out really good. I don't know what happened. Bad luck, but again, this is kind of typical for the gardens that we've done in years past. We're just not very lucky. So this is another one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of document as we're kind of starting over again. And I'm going to do a little more research into maybe why this stuff wasn't really successful, and we'll try to fix it as we go. So. All right, so that was the first episode, basically just kind of telling you where we're starting from. We're actually in the process of getting things ready for the fall planting. I've got a few of them that I planted already, maybe a week ago. We got some lettuces. I don't think I've got my spinach in yet, but I've got some things that we ordered in the mail that should be delivered today or this weekend that will get into the box. But 2-3 weeks ago, I mean, both boxes were pretty full with stuff, and we had a really good harvest out of them. But we'll talk more about that and the preparation for going into fall. And appreciate you guys stopping by. See you next time.